The Mitten. The Mitten by Rita Walsh, illustrated by Jenny Williams. Once upon a time, a little girl went out to play in the snow. It was a cold day, and the little girl's cheeks were rosy and bright, just like the woolen mittens she wore. The girl's grandmother had knitted them just for her, and whenever she wore them, the little girl felt warm and happy. The little girl had a brother who sometimes liked to tease his sister. One day he grabbed her hand and off came one of the red mittens. "Give it back!" the little girl shouted. But her brother tossed the mitten so high into the air that it got caught on a branch of a tall tree. The little girl was very sad to lose her mitten, and she ran into the house in tears. A tiny bird hopped over to look at the mitten, which was stuck high in the tree. "What a cozy nest this will make," he said as he settled inside, and soon he was so warm and content that he fell asleep. As night began to fall, a furry gray squirrel scampered up the tree to his nest. But what was this? The squirrel's nose twitched as he approached the mitten and peeked inside. "Why, it's my friend Sparrow," the squirrel said. The bird woke up and invited the squirrel to join him, and before long the two friends were snuggled together in a warm mitten. Stars began to twinkle in the cold winter sky, and the tree's branches creaked and shook. The sparrow and the squirrel opened their eyes. Someone was coming. A cheerful little face pushed into the mitten. It was Raccoon. "Come in! Come on in!" cried Sparrow and Squirrel. Raccoon was very grateful to wiggle in beside them, for an icy wind had just begun to blow. The mitten stretched and tugged, but the animals inside were happy. Never had they been so warm. As the wind whistled through the tree, the mitten remained in its place on the branch, heavy though it was. Soft snowflakes began to fall, but the animals cuddled inside the mitten would have slept through the night undisturbed, if not for a fluttering and flapping on the branch outside. 3 pairs of eyes peeked out to see Owl, shaking the snow from his wings. Come in," they all cried, squeezing together to make room for their friend. Owl tugged the mitten open a little wider and settled in with a grateful sigh. The mitten hardly looked like a mitten anymore. It was so lumpy and big, but it was still as warm as a grandmother's hug, and that was all that really mattered. Crash, crunch, snap! The mitten was being shaken and squeezed and prodded. Owl poked his beak out and found himself face to face with Bear. "Why, Owl!" cried the bear in confusion. "What are you doing inside that funny red beehive?" Raccoon, Squirrel, and Sparrow stuck their heads out alongside Owl's. "It's not a beehive," they laughed. "It's a cave." Bear sat up in surprise. "A cave? Why, that's just what I need to get out of the snow." And so everyone took a deep breath and held it as Bear pulled and tugged and huffed until the mitten was stretched tight around them all, with only Bear's nose sticking out. The snowflakes fell harder and the wind whipped around the tree. The mitten hung on by one thin bit of yarn. Little by little the mitten began to unravel. One long strand of red yarn eased the heavy bundle gently to the ground. As the sun began to rise, the last of the mitten unraveled, and plunk! Down plopped the animals into the soft snow beneath the tree. The animals shook themselves off and stretched. They looked up to see the red yarn reaching all the way up the tree. "Well, whatever it was, that was the best night's sleep we ever had," they declared, and bidding each other a good day, they all went off their separate ways. The door of the house opened, and the little girl rushed out to see her mitten had fallen from the tree. She looked up and saw the red yarn dangling from a branch. Carefully she yanked it down. Then the little girl scooped up the yarn and ran into her grandmother. By afternoon, the red yarn had been knitted back into a mitten, snug and cozy and full of love. Hello, I'm the mom that reads. I choose books from our own library that were my children's favorites. Thank you for visiting my channel. Please like and subscribe.